every day. Da-da-da-dum-bum. Anyway. Oh, happy Friday, by the way. Don't forget it's Cha-Ching Chat Friday. That's the tweet. Maybe I should lead with that. Happy Cha-Ching Chat Friday. Today, all day, every day. Well, actually, not every day, just Fridays. We have the Cha-Chinger all fired up. It's ready to go. I spent the night. You know what it is? I almost forgot to charge it. I almost forgot to charge it overnight, but luckily, right before I went to bed, it was halftime during the Eagles game. I plugged in the Cha-Chinger. It's fully charged. It's ready to go. And if you would like to set off the Cha-Chinger today, super easy to do. There's 2 ways to do it. If you're on Rumble, just send us a Rumble rant of $5 or more and let us know what you'd like us to say. And by us, I mean me. And that'll set off the Cha-Chinger. Or if you're on YouTube, you can send us a YouTube super chat. They call it a super chat. And if it's $5 or more and whatever you put in the thing, that'll set off the Cha-Chinger today. Super easy. Sounds like that. And then we'll read your message on the show. Not only that, but you will be supporting Mark K Saves the Republic, which is, I have to assume, your favorite podcast, because why else would you be? It's my favorite podcast. So I always assume that everybody likes what I like too, even though that's not necessarily the case. No, it's not. I like Brussels sprouts. Not everybody does. So anyway, listen. But Russ Vogt said that the riffs and then we'll read have your message begun. On the show. Not only that, but you will be supporting. What like 20 minutes ago, the Republic, which is I have to assume your favorite podcast. Where did the Russ Vogt quote go? Here else would you be in my favorite podcast? That was October 10th. I always assume that everybody likes what I like p.m. So about 30 minutes ago, almost 30 minutes ago exactly. Now, what are the riffs? The riffs are the reduction in forces. Or the reductions in force, I guess I would say. It's the reductions in force of the federal government. That's one of those weird phrases where the first word is pluralized, like attorneys general or surgeons general is what you would say. You wouldn't say surgeon generals or attorney generals. It's surgeons general. So you'd have to say reductions in force. So it should be the R. It shouldn't be the riffs. It should be the R's IF. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You get the whole meaning. That means that what happens is Russ Vogt is handing out pink slips. He's slashing waste and fraud and abuse. He's cutting the size of the government, but for good, not just temporarily. Not just until the government shutdown is over, but like forever. And that, of course, is all part of, what, the President Trump administration has been forced to do by none other than the Democrats, by Chuck Schumer. And that's something, President Donald Trump said that yesterday. He said, this is all the Democrats' fault. The Republicans have voted repeatedly to open up the government. And Chuck Schumer has said, no, it's better for us every single day that it's closed. Every single day that it's closed, it's better for us. So what we did was we basically took a look at, we're taking a look at everything that's going on and we are cutting down the reduction in workforce because the Democrats refuse to open up the government. In fact, President Donald Trump was asked about that yesterday. Here's what he said.
What's your message to some of these families tonight facing missed paychecks, potential layoffs, and missed benefits?
What we did was we basically took a look at, we're taking a look at Democrat
representative, whether it's a senator or a congressman, and it's their fault. I mean, they admit it's their fault. They campaigned on the fact that they'd never shut down the country, but they want to shut it down. And, we have the greatest economy. We're the hottest country in the world right now. I think you'd admit that. The hottest country. We went from a dead country a year ago to the hottest country in the world. So I think they probably don't like that. But we're doing great. We're doing great. I would say my message is call your local representative, congressman or senator, and tell them to get on the ball. The Democrats have caused this problem.
Yeah. And so what happens is the Democrats are going to continue to vote to keep the government shut down because, it's better for them. But they have no power anywhere else, and that's something that we're dealing with. Now we're gonna get to we're gonna get to more of that here in just a minute. Okay, we're gonna get to more of that here in just a minute. There's going to be some other information and news coming about the rifts, about the government shutdowns, about what Russ Vogt and his team are doing. But what we have going on now is wait, what's wrong with the audio? You guys are complaining about the audio. It appears. Is there something wrong with the audio? I don't hear anything at all wrong with the audio. So I'm not restarting the show again. That's an issue. I'm not restarting the show again. I don't know what you guys are hearing, but I'm not hearing anything. So if you guys are hearing something, I don't know, maybe that's on. I don't know what's going on. Let me check one thing here quickly because, I'm going to, hold on. Just everyone calm down 1 second. You know what? I can't deal with it. If you guys are having audio issues, then I apologize. There's nothing wrong on my end. So check yourselves out. Anyway, what was I saying? So anyway, what we have going on now, what is the problem now? Audio's fine. Well, then why are you complaining that it's not fine? Okay. You know what? That's fine. I'm not starting over. I'll just edit all this out later. I'm not starting over anymore. That's my rule. As long as it sounds good to me, I'm totally okay with it. Where are we? I've totally lost my place. All right, you know what? Forget it. Forget the riffs. We'll just get back to what were we doing? Oh yeah, we'll just get back to the Nobel Peace Prize. So President Donald Trump did not win the Nobel Peace Prize this morning. It was actually, people thought, we think that President Donald Trump kind of had an idea he wasn't going to win it yesterday, and then over the evening or last night, we saw that there was some kind of leak out because people started betting on who was actually going to win the Nobel Peace Prize, and it wasn't President Donald Trump. And the girl who did win, this woman from Venezuela, people that were betting on her made like $90,000. So not only is the Nobel Peace Prize committee kind of corrupt because they didn't give President Donald Trump the number one most deserving person probably in the history of the award, but they also illegally gambled, or I don't even know if it's illegal, but they leaked the information and made hundreds of thousands of dollars on the actual winner, on the actual choice, the person that they ended up with. So what we see now is we see very intense scrutiny on the Nobel Prize committee. And the woman who, it's amazing because look, literally everybody thought that Donald Trump should win the Nobel Peace Prize. Everybody thought that Donald Trump should win the Nobel Peace Prize. Donald Trump thought it. Benjamin Netanyahu thought it. The dude from Armenia and the dude from Azerbaijan thought it. After they ended the war, the first thing they said was, you know what? We're going to nominate you for the Nobel Peace Prize. That was the first thing that they said. And then it was just leaders coming out of the president of Malta or the leader in Malta said, we've got to give Donald Trump this Peace Prize. It's incredible the amount of nominations he had. But when all was said and done, and when the votes were tallied and the committee met and whatever happened, they gave it to Maria Corina Machado. Maria Corina Machado. Now, if you're anything like me, you started immediately singing Maria Machado. What a wonderful, because that's how my brain thinks. I'm like, Hakuna Matata? Wait, Maria Machado? Corina Machado? That's the song from The Lion King, isn't it? No, she's the Nobel Peace Prize recipient for 2025 for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. Fine, that sounds cool, but that's like one country, right? That's like one. Yeah, okay, great. Congratulations, Hakuna Machado. But that's only one. Venezuela's one country. Also, this woman's in hiding. She's been in hiding apparently for a very long time. But she's been working for the democratic rights of the people of Venezuela. President Donald Trump, on the other hand, and again, it's not a competition. Well, actually, yeah, I guess it's 100% a comp. Never mind. I take that back. It's 100% a competition. So Hakuna Machado wins this award, and everyone else is like, wait a minute, Donald Trump has not just fought for the democratic rights of the people of Venezuela, which he also has, by the way, but he's fought for the democratic rights of peoples all over the world. Not just that, he's fought to keep people alive all over the world. His whole thing is, let's stop the murder. Let's stop countries from murdering each other. Let's make sure that if it's Azerbaijan and Armenia, they're not murdering each other. If it's Rwanda and the Congo, they're not murdering each other. If it's, Gaza, if it's Hamas and Israel, let's make sure they're not murdering each other. And yeah, we're still working on Ukraine and Putin. And by the way, we have big news about something just happened. Big, huge news happened there, which we're going to announce here in just a minute too. So Donald Trump has a laundry list, a to-do list of peace that he's been checking off one by one. It's like, all right, Rwanda, Congo, check. Oh, India, Pakistan, both nuclear powers, check. Donald Trump stopped a nuclear war. And which again, Hakuna Machado, I'm sure is a lovely woman, But did she stop a nuclear war? I mean, what else do you have to do to win a Nobel Peace Prize? I mean, literally, they asked, so what a lot of people are saying, because President Donald Trump campaigned for it, or because President Donald Trump asked for it, or because Donald Trump was so vocal about wanting to win this award. In fact, he talked about it yesterday. I think that yesterday he knew he wasn't going to win the award because he said, what was it? He said, where was it? He said something about the award, and he said, "Oh, what we do it for." Oh, here we go. It was, here we go.
I know this, that nobody in history has solved 8 wars in a period of 9 months. And I've stopped 8 wars. So that's never happened before. But they'll have to do what they do. Whatever they do is fine. I know this. I didn't do it for that. I did it because I saved a lot of lives. And that's the thing that bothers me so much about the Russia-Ukraine.
Yeah, so Donald Trump says, look, whatever they're going to do, they're going to do. I think he knew yesterday. I think, that he knew yesterday he wasn't going to win this award. Maybe he's the one that went on Polymarket and made tens of thousands of dollars betting on Hakuna Matata to win the award. But basically what happens is Donald Trump says, I'm not in it for that. I'm not in it for a peace prize. You know what I'm in it for? Peace. Peace is the prize. Now, would a peace prize be nice? Absolutely it would. Is he deserving of it? Absolutely is. I mean, especially when you look at the other losers who've won this award. Barack Obama, 7 months into his presidency, got this award. And what happened was Barack Obama literally was like, wait, what? What do you mean I got the Nobel Peace? What did I do? And basically he said, no, I didn't even really deserve the award. I don't know why I got it. Later on, the secretary of the Nobel committee said, yeah, I kind of regret giving Barack Obama that award because nothing really came of it and it didn't make him a better person. And we didn't really do it for any accomplishments that he made toward peace. Jimmy Carter, another former president, got the award, not because of anything he did during his presidency. In fact, his presidency was a debacle. Up until Joe Biden, Jimmy Carter was deemed to be the worst president in American history. Jimmy Carter was deemed to be the worst president in American history until Joe Biden. And now he's the second worst president, but he got a Nobel Peace Prize. Why? Because he flew around taking meetings with people. He was old and retired and wanted to see the world. So he just flew around the world taking meetings with people and they gave him a Nobel Peace Prize. Donald Trump has ended 8 wars. Does he get the Nobel Peace Prize? No, they gave it to Hakuna Matata. By the way, do you know who believes that Donald Trump was deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize? It was the actual winner, Corina Machado. She wrote on X, "This recognition of the struggle of the Venezuelans is a boost to conclude our task, to conquer freedom." By the way, conquer freedom? I don't know. Are we conquering freedom? Is that what we want to do? Do we want to conquer freedom or do we want to evoke freedom? I don't know. We are on the threshold of victory, and today, more than ever, we count on President Trump, the people of the United States, the peoples of Latin America, and the democratic nations of the world as our principal allies to achieve freedom and democracy. All right, so there she wants to achieve freedom, not conquer it. I guess that's good. "I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause." So she's dedicating her trophy to President Donald Trump. Why? Because she knows she's about to get smacked on the internet by MAGA. She knows that everybody, right? Look, it's not her fault. I don't think she nominated herself. I don't think she cares either way. I mean, it's a lovely award. It comes with like 10 million krona or something, which is like $1 million. I don't think she's sitting around going, yay, because this morning when she woke up, here's what I imagine happened. Maria Corina Machado probably thought she was going to lose out to Donald Trump. She wakes up this morning and finds out that she got it and Trump didn't. And she was probably like, oh, fudge. she's like Ralphie in A Christmas Story when the bolts fly up in the air. He's like, oh, fudge. Because now she knows there's going to be an asterisk by her name for the rest of eternity. Because Donald Trump did not get the Nobel Peace Prize. You know who else, by the way, thought that Donald Trump should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize? Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin, listen to he was asked about it. This is what Vladimir Putin said. He said, it's not my call who gets the Nobel Prize. I'm translating, by the way, because I speak everything. I doubt anyone here would disagree. Unlikely. Let me explain what I mean. They've given peace prizes to undeserving folks, Obama. These choices hurt the award's reputation. Someone shows up, boom, for what? Did nothing. That's how it works. They need some merit. So the prize has lost credibility. But not my place to judge. No. Clue is if the president of the U.S. deserves it. Yeah. So anyway, so that's Vladimir Putin saying, yeah, you know what? Donald Trump actually deserves this. Look, if Vladimir Putin is telling you that your committee is corrupt, if Vladimir Putin is criticizing your committee and saying, dude, you guys are corrupt, then you got some serious problems. They asked, by the way, the chairman of the committee, the chairman of the Nobel Committee is Norwegian Borgersnorg. I don't even know his name. It's like Vlornhergen Florgenschnorgen, I think is his name. Here's what he said.
President Donald Trump has repeatedly said he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize and he'd like to have it. He even said that it would be an insult to the United States if he doesn't get it. What does as the chairman of the Nobel Peace Prize Committee think of this, and how has this campaign-like activity by the president and his supporters, domestically and internationally, affected the deliberations and the thinking in the committee?
In the long history of the Nobel Peace Prize, I think this committee have seen any type of campaign, media attention. We receive thousands and thousands of letters every year of people wanting to say what for them leads to peace. This committee sits in a room filled with the portraits of all laureates, and that room is filled with both courage and integrity. So we base only our decision on the work and the will of Alfred Nobel.
Okay, so they sit in a room. Basically, he didn't answer the question at all. He didn't answer. He said, we sit there and we decide this award with courage and integrity. And we sit in a room and we're surrounded by the portraits of laureates. And we work only based on the stipulations put forward by Alfred Nobel. Well, okay, let's talk a little bit about Alfred Nobel, shall we? Alfred Nobel was Swedish, and he made weapons basically. He owned an iron like works or whatever. He was like the Andrew Carnegie of Sweden, and his job was to make war cannons and other armaments. And he made cannons and cannonballs and all kinds of weapons of war. And he was a brilliant chemist, and he went to school and he learned chemistry, and he created dynamite using nitroglycerin. And I've heard people say he mistakenly created dynamite and felt guilty. There was no mistake about it. This dude owned a weapons factory. You don't mistakenly discover dynamite by mixing something with nitroglycerin and creating TNT or whatever it was. You don't mistaken. Yes, maybe if he owned a bakery and he accidentally made dynamite, I would understand. Maybe that was accidental and he felt bad about it. He just wanted to make some cream puffs or some Napoleons or some tiramisu. All of a sudden, boom, people are killing each other with his invention. I get that. But the dude was this guy made cannons. He made guns. And you're telling me it was no accident. And then he got really rich selling dynamite to basically everybody. And then when he died, he said, look, I'm going to donate all of my money, my entire fortune, to create this Nobel Committee. And every year I want there to be a large award given to the person who works for peace, because I have spent my entire life working for war. And maybe it was like the last gasp of a dying man to try to buy his way into heaven. Or maybe it was to try to save and salvage his reputation instead of his last name being known around the world for being used to destroy things. It was now going to be used as a sign, the ultimate sign of peace. And for a while that worked, but the committee's become so elite and corrupted, and they've just been using this award to hand it out to folks that they want to hobnob with or who they think are the politically correct choice instead of the actually correct choice. That now it's been bastardized, and you've even got Vladimir Putin saying your reputation is sullied. If Vladimir Putin's looking at you going, man, I'm glad I'm not you, you got problems, right? You really have to take a look at your life and your life's decisions. And that's kind of where we are with that. Tommy Lauren, by the way, she had an interesting, because look, the timeline of this is very interesting. The timeline of this, oh, by the way, before we get to Tommy Lauren, you know who else? And I don't want to get too political, but do you know who else isn't like sad that Donald Trump didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize and is angry with President Donald Trump for I guess mounting a campaign to win the Nobel Peace Prize? Candace Owens. She's furious about what's going to happen with Gaza. She's furious about President Donald Trump's 20-point plan, and she is letting everybody know about it. And the clip and again, I'm not here to promote Candace Owens. I'm not here to bash Candace Owens, but there are some things you should know that Candace Owens is saying because it's an interesting take for sure. Candace Owens on her podcast. Oh, wait, there's the cha-chinger. Oh, hold on. Wait, we got our first cha-ching chat of the day. This is from Sage Ridge 2024. Sage Ridge 2024 dropped a $10 cha-ching chat. Thank you very much, Sage Ridge. I appreciate that. Happy Friday to all from Gene in colorful Colorado. Trump has won the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, he hasn't, but he's won peace, and peace is the actual prize that matters. But Sage Ridge, thank you. That is very generous, and we appreciate your cha-ching chat. If you would like to send a cha-ching chat, we'll read whatever it is you write. As long as it's $5 or more, you can do it with a Rumble rant or a YouTube super chat, however you want to do it, and we'll read those on the air throughout the show today as they come in. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Candace Owens. So back to Candace Owens. Candace Owens is very upset with what's going on in Gaza, has been for a while. And she said this on her podcast, I believe yesterday.
And Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize, by the way, for the planned ethnic cleansing so that they could profit on the land and turn it into a beach town. So let me say this. This is our never again, okay? This is a Holocaust. A Holocaust just happened. A real Holocaust just happened. We will never forget this. You need to tell your children what happened in Gaza. You need to tell them exactly who did it, exactly whose families were involved in this. And when you hear in the future somebody tell you, like, we're going to Gaza Beach for a vacation, you need to look at them like they are the absolute vermin of our society, because they are.
Okay, so so Candace Owens is very upset because she believes that President Donald Trump partook in a planned genocide in Gaza so that he could develop Gaza into a beach town called Gaza Beach, and that years from now, when people travel there and go to the beach, Candace Owens believes they should look at themselves as absolute vermin because that's what they are.
They are. Their children will be cursed, okay? If you go and you play in the sand where you know that your forefathers planned to mass murder children, you will be cursed. Every person who steps foot on that, every family that is set to inherit what they did, they will be cursed.
Okay, so there's a curse on Gaza Beach. If you slip off your flippies and dig your toes into the white sand of Gaza Beach, if you boogie board or skim board on the luscious waves coming in from the Mediterranean, if you stay in one of the luxurious Trump hotel/casinos that will be erected somewhere in Gaza, if you do that, you and your family and your children and your children's children will be cursed by Candace Owens.
Children's children will be cursed. Gaza belongs to nobody but the Palestinians. So when you begin to move the Israelis in there, and when the Trump Hotel gets built on there, I caution the rest of the world to stay far away from that cursed land, because something is coming. You can't commit that much evil in broad daylight and not think it's going to come back to haunt you. Anyways.
Okay, so here's my question. This is really interesting to me because Candace Owens has never been a fan of Israel. We know that. She's not a fan of what's been going on in Gaza. She's not a fan of the war. And now the war is over and she's still angry. She's still not a fan of it. She says that it's, the damage has been done. The land is now cursed. If you stay in a Trump hotel, then your children's children will suffer the consequences of the bloodshed of Gaza. A fun fact, I've stayed in a Trump hotel before. It may be worth it. I've stayed in a Trump hotel. It may be worth it. It may be worth it to have there. It's very nice. It's very posh. Everything's marble and gold. They fully equip you with everything. The servants are amazing. They have like Michelin star rated restaurants in the Trump hotel. It's bar none. It's fantastic. If you stay in a Trump hotel with a casino, forget about it. There's no reason to ever leave. So it might actually be worth a curse on your future generations just to stay in a Trump hotel, especially in Gaza, because I imagine that's going to be one of the nicer ones for sure. But that's Candace. She's really mad. She's big mad. And Tommy Lahren, who was on Fox News just moments ago, she said something which I think is accurate. And really, common sense is better than nonsense. But when you think about it, when you think about what happened with the war in Gaza, when you think about what happened with this peace agreement, when you think about, Candace Owens is mad that Donald Trump wants this Nobel Peace Prize. Listen to what Tommy Lahren says about this peace, what's happened since Donald Trump announced that Hamas and Israel were signing a peace accord.
Where are all the ceasefire now folks in the streets, the Queers for Palestine, the very angry students on college campuses who camped out and who barricaded doors in the name of supposedly free Palestine, the Palestinian people, the people of Gaza? They should be celebrating today. We've seen a lot of footage of actual Palestinians celebrating, right? Even celebrating President Trump. So I would assume if you truly believe in peace and you truly believe in the concept of free Palestine or the Palestinian people, then you should celebrate this.
That's a point, isn't it? That's a point. Girlfriend got a point. I mean, where are the Queers for Palestine? Why aren't they celebrating? Where are the Queers for Palestine? Why aren't they excited about Gaza Beach and the Trump Hotel? I've been to South Beach. They're very excited down there in South Beach about going out in, their short shorts and their tank tops and their mesh shirts and that kind of thing. Why are the Queers for Palestine not celebrating? What about the children at Columbia University and Harvard University? Why aren't they taking to the streets today celebrating their successful victory? They got what they wanted. Remember the ceasefire? Stop the genocide. Stop the genocide. Okay, there's no more genocide. Where's the celebratory? Where's the thank you? Where's the phew? None of that. There's nothing at all, because those people didn't actually care about stopping the genocide. They didn't actually care about stopping the war. They didn't actually care about Palestinians or Palestine. They just cared about having some cause that would make them feel like they were doing something other than making their own lives better. They had no way to donate anything of value or worth to society, so they went out and they protested in Columbia and in Harvard and at universities all over, even at the UNC. Remember the fraternity bros who saved the flag at UNC? Even in North Carolina, they were doing that kind of stuff. And now they got what they wanted. The war's over. And we know the war's over because, Donald Trump's headed to the Middle East. The hostages are going to be released. The Palestinian prisoners are going to be released. Everyone stopped firing guns at each other. Thousands of Palestinians are returning to Gaza right now because for the first time in months, they believe that it's safe to live there. And President Donald Trump and the rest of the world have all signed on to an agreement that will rebuild Gaza, making it safe for everybody. And it wasn't a genocide. It wasn't a planned removal of Gazans so that Donald Trump could buy cheap beach property. No one's being kicked out of their homes. Donald Trump was asked about this yesterday. They said, are you going to remove all the Gazans? And he said, absolutely. No, nothing. Here it is right here. He said, nothing at all is going to change. Where is it? Here we go.
Nobody's going to be forced to leave. No, it's just the opposite. This is a great plan. This is a great peace plan. This is a plan that was supported by everybody. I mean, as I said, they're dancing in the streets of many, many countries right now. It's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. No, we're not looking to do that at all.
Yeah, they're dancing on the streets of many, many countries except this one. They're dancing on the streets of many, many countries except this one. Where is Rashida Tlaib? Where is Ilhan Omar? Where is the squad? Where are all those crazy Congresswomen? I don't mean to assume their genders. I look at a couple of them and it's tough to tell. Where are those Congresswomen that were so hell-bent on tearing down President Donald Trump? Where were they? Remember then when Rashida Tlaib allowed all those pro-Palestinian folks into the rotunda in the congressional office building and they did a sit-in? Remember when they went to Trump Tower and they sat down in Trump Tower in their red shirts and they were screaming and yelling? They all had to get hauled off. Where are all those people now? You got what you wanted. Only they didn't get what they wanted. They didn't want peace. They wanted something to cry about. And now they don't have anything to cry about. They don't have anything to cry about because Donald Trump didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize and everybody's mad. When Barack Obama think about this. This is how you know you're deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize. If you don't get it and people are furious, then you're deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize and you got screwed basically because of your political beliefs. If, however, you do get it and everyone's furious, like Barack Obama did, then you know you didn't deserve it and that the Nobel Committee is clearly biased politically. They show it over and over and over and over again. But there's nothing in this peace plan that shouldn't make every single squad member, every from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free, left-wing lunatic. They should be thrilled. They should be popping bottles today. But they're not. Donald Trump's 20-point plan. Very quickly, here is Donald Trump's 20-point plan that everybody in the world has agreed to. Not one country hasn't agreed to. No one has stood up at the wedding and said, I object, right? You know, like you go to a wedding and they go, if anyone here objects to the union of this man and this woman, may he speak now or forever hold his peace. Nobody jumped up and said, I object. Everybody said, no, this is great. Let's get this. Let's say I do. Let's kiss the bride and let's go get drunk. I don't think they drink, though, in Gaza. It doesn't matter. Number one, Gaza will be a de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. If you're not celebrating this deal, think about that. I want you to think about this. If you're one of these crazy lunatic left-wing liberals that were paid or whatever, or just stupid, and you've been protesting for years and you've been sitting in your college campus and you've been breaking stuff and you've been telling everybody Donald Trump's the devil and there's a genocide in Gaza and yada, 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 and you listen to Candace Owens on repeat. If you're one of those folks, okay, here's what I want you to ask yourself. Do you agree or disagree with these? Because if you're not celebrating, then you're angry. You're angry with what Donald Trump laid forward. You're angry with what Israel and Hamas and the rest of the world signed on to. This makes you mad. Gaza will be a de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors? Absolutely not. That makes me angry. I'm not celebrating that. You're not celebrating terror-free zones? You're not celebrating Gaza not being posing a threat to its neighbors? It's weird. Number two, Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza, who have suffered more than enough. Maybe Candace Owens didn't read this because she believes that she believes that the people of Gaza will not be the ones who are benefiting.
And Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize, by the way, for the planned ethnic cleansing so that they could profit on the land and turn it into a beach town. So let me say this. This is our never again, okay? This is a Holocaust. A Holocaust just happened. A real Holocaust just happened. And we will never forget this. You need to tell your children what happened in Gaza. You need to tell them exactly who did it, exactly whose families were involved in this. And when you hear in the future somebody tell you, like, we're going to Gaza Beach for a vacation, you need to look at them like they are the absolute vermin of our society, because they are.
Yeah. Hey, color me vermin. because I will gladly, I will put this out there right now. President Trump, whoever else is, I don't even know who's in charge of Gaza. I don't think anyone is at the moment. I will, when you open your first hotel on Gaza Beach, I will travel there and I will broadcast my podcast, both of them, every day for an entire week. When Gaza Beach is live from Mark K Saves the Republic, live from Trump Tower at Gaza Beach. Oh, that has an amazing ring to it, doesn't it? I love that. Number 2, Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza. Number 3, if both sides agree to this proposal, the war will immediately end. So if you're angry at this proposal, if you're not celebrating this proposal, then you didn't want the war to end. Israeli forces will withdraw to the agreed upon line to prepare for a hostage release. During this time, military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment, will be suspended. Isn't that what they were looking for? Where is the celebration? Tommy Laren's 100% right. Number 4, within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages, alive and deceased, will be returned. That's happening on Monday. President Donald Trump will be there. Number 5, once all hostages are released, Israel will release 250 life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7th, including all women and children detained in that context. Now, this is a biggie because a lot of those people that were detained are murderers. A lot of those people who have been detained are Hamas soldiers, murderers, people who slayed innocent men, women, and children in Israel on October the 7th, and they're willing to release them. They're willing to release them back. I mean, this took some doing, I imagine. You're talking about 2,000 people. Number 6, once all hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. So nobody's going to be removed from Gaza unless they want to be. And they must, if they're Hamas, decommission their weapons and commit to peace. If they're not willing to do that, you're on your own. Number 8, entry of distribution of aid in the Gaza Strip will proceed without interference from the two parties through the United Nations and its agencies and the Red Crescent, in addition to other international institutions not associated. So nobody's going to interfere with the relief efforts. That's something else all these people wanted. They kept showing me children. Every time I went on Instagram, it didn't matter whose Instagram it was. It could have been a food channel. It could have been an entrepreneurial channel. It could have been one of the marketing people that I follow. Every week I had to go in there and see children starving in Gaza, and it was soul crushing, yes. And I had to see the propaganda that was being put out against President Donald Trump and the Republicans and the Israeli Defense Force and everyone else. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what does this have to do with what you're usually talking about? They wanted the aid distributed. They wanted it getting to where it's going. Now it's getting there. Where are the celebratory posts? Where are the people saying, thank God, the aid is fine? There's a whole bunch. Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for delivering the day-to-day running of public services and municipalities for the people in Gaza. Goes on and on. A Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. This is where they're angry. This is where they're angry. The entire Middle East, another little history lesson. The entire Middle East used to be a desert. Everything was every town was a desert. There's nothing there but sand. There's no water in the Middle East. Very little of it. There was no technological advances. There were no major airports and things like that. Now, the Middle East has not just met the first world, but they have surpassed it. Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, all these countries, they've seen the light. They've taken the money, the wealth, the extreme wealth that they get from where? Drilling for oil, something we should be doing here. They take that wealth and they reinvest it in themselves. And now they have the highest buildings, the most technologically advanced buildings, the nicest hotels. They have built water They built water. They're like, we don't have any water, but you know what we have? A lot of money. I bet if we get a bunch of smart people and some technological wizards and give them a bunch of money, we could build water. And they did. So now when you look at the deserts of the Middle East, you have these high-rise, beautiful, luxury, technologically advanced apartment complexes, condominiums, and hotels surrounded by water where there wasn't any. And once they made all the water, they said, you know what? We got a lot of water. Maybe we should build some islands in the water. So you know what they did? They built islands. They're building if you can dream it, they're building it. They started with land. They wanted water. They built water. Then they go, oh, we got way too much water. We need more land. And they started building islands. It's incredible. And it's safe. It's safe. They have the legal system in Dubai. It's if you like jaywalk, they cut off your pinky finger. I don't know what it is, but for whatever, you can walk around in Dubai, and I've never been, but my father lived there for years. And I have friends who live there, and they talk about how safe it is because anybody who is not even convicted, anybody who is, I think, accused of a crime or suspected of a crime, they know that the penalties are quick and harsh and there's very little recourse. And as a result, you have people living in harmony. It's really, and the wealth is incredible. You've got a country that this is something, again, it's a model for the rest of the world. And it's definitely a model for the United States of America. And what oil is to the United Arab Emirates, tariffs are to the United States. And now these same people who built up Qatar and Dubai and Abu Dhabi, these same people are now going to go into Gaza. And they're going to do it for the benefit of the Gazans. Are they going to benefit themselves? Yes. But, it's like that old saying, when a rising tide raises all ships. And if you were a Gazan, would you rather go back to Gaza the way it is now and just live in a pile of rubble? Or would you rather go back to Gaza with a Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize it, where you could have a home that's beautiful, you could have a job, you could have safe surroundings, you could have good schools, it could all be funded by the wealthy oil barons and tycoons and sultans and everyone else who surrounds you, and you would be protected by the greatest fighting forces in the entire world. It just makes perfect sense to everybody except for the lunatic liberal left-wing protesters who took over Harvard, took over Columbia, and also Candace Owens. A special economic zone will be established with preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. No one will be forced to leave Gaza, and those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. We will encourage people to stay and offer them the opportunity to build a better Gaza. Make Gaza great again. That's basically what he's saying here. Hamas and other factions agree to not have any role in the governance of Gaza, directly, indirectly, or in any form. This one's going to be tough. I'm not sure how they're going to pull this off, but this is important. Hamas and other factions agree to not have any role in the governance of Gaza, directly, indirectly, or in any form. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. There will be a process of demilitarization of Gaza under the supervision of independent monitors, which will include placing weapons permanently beyond use through an agreed process of decommissioning. So they're basically getting rid of Hamas. That's part of the deal. What Hamas had to do was sign an agreement to basically disband themselves. And they did it. A guarantee will be provided by regional partners to ensure that Hamas, think about what happened behind the scenes, right? This is what Marco Rubio said when he said maybe one day the entire story will be told. Do you remember that? This was Marco Rubio yesterday. He was talking about, where is it? Rubio, here we go.
I don't know if one day perhaps the entire story will be told about the events of yesterday, but suffice it to say, it's not an exaggeration that none of it would have been possible without the President of the United States being involved.
What did he mean by that? What did he mean by one day maybe the entire story will be told? Okay, well, Donald Trump said, hey, we're going to make this deal, and in order for Hamas to sign off on this deal, what happens is you have to basically put down your weapons, disband yourself, and you can have no further say in Gaza. Basically, Hamas is over. Imagine the strong-handed words that must have been shared with the leaders of Hamas. Imagine I don't want to call them threats, but these strong suggestions that they take part in this deal. Imagine what must have gone on behind the scenes for them to agree to basically say, okay, we're done. It must have been one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't situations. But it goes on and on and on. And of course, it ends with, well, here we go. In the event Hamas delays or rejects this proposal, the above, including the scaled-up aid operation, will proceed in the terror-free areas handed over from the IDF to the ISF. An interfaith dialogue process will be established while Gaza redevelopment advances, and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood. So what they're saying is, if you want a Palestinian state, you got to do all this stuff first. And then finally, the United States will establish a dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians to agree on a political horizon for peaceful and prosperous coexistence. Okay, that's the 20-point plan. Anybody who's against that, anyone who's against a dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians to agree on a political horizon for peaceful and prosperous coexistence, anyone who's not celebrating that doesn't want peace, doesn't want peaceful coexistence, doesn't believe that there actually was a genocide. They just want something to complain about eternally because for whatever reason, it behooves them. I don't know. Maybe they get more downloads on their podcast or something like that. Who knows what? Oh, look at that. We got more cha-ching chats coming. Look at that. Oh, we got a couple of them coming in. First up is Edna Kruger. Edna Kruger, aka Artistic Travel, dropped a $5 super chat. Thank you very much. And wrote, I agree that Trump Desi Resveth Awards. Candick. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Edna Kruger. I'm sorry. I see it. There's some spacing issues. I agree that Trump deserves the awards. Candace is way off. Got it. Edna, thank you so much for the generous Candick. I like that better. I like Candick better. That's better. We got another one coming in here. This is from Ernest Hatfield. Hi, Ernest. Thank you so much. $10 super chat. That's an cha-ching chat. Pardon me. To anger a conservative, lie to him. To anger a liberal, tell him the truth. Theodore Roosevelt. God bless Trump, VP Vance, Mark, and your K's kids, and all you Patriots out there. Ernest Hatfield, thank you. My hat's off to you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that, and we appreciate, like I said, you constantly coming back here and supporting the show. And again, because we are independent, we work solely on your support. We work on the support of you. We work on the support of some of our sponsors and advertisers. And the reason we're able to do this, the reason I'm able to come in here every single day is because you guys step up when we ask you to, and we really do appreciate that, and thank you for it. And look at that. People are still, look at this. We got another one off of the Rumble Rants. This is a cha-ching chat from See More Info. 15 buckaroos. Let me move my light out of the way. Where's my light? There we go. That's the ticket right there. Hey, Mark, ever wish you could see more info from a sign? Now you can. SeeMoreInfo.com connects any sign to photos, details, and more instantly. SeeMoreInfo.com. That's amazing. I'm not really sure I understand what that means, but that sounds amazing. Thank you so much, See More Info, for the cha-ching chat. If anyone wants to connect any sign to photos, details, or more instantly, go to SeeMoreInfo.com. And again, we appreciate your support of the show. All right, listen, before we get to the shutdown, there are a couple of other things happened. There was a threat against Benny Johnson. And I know Benny Johnson a little bit. And he's grown very fast. He's gotten a lot of notoriety. He, of course, has been at the forefront of the Charlie Kirk situation because he worked for TPUSA. He was a close ally to Charlie Kirk, and because he has a large platform where he's been discussing it pretty regularly. He also was recently the guy who had FCC Chairman Brendan Carr on, and it was his show where Brendan Carr said, we can do this the hard way or the easy way regarding Jimmy Kimmel. So Benny Johnson, again, was thrust into the spotlight in the whole, they always just called him a right-wing podcaster. Whenever they say right-wing podcaster on the news, they're talking about him. Well, apparently, some deranged lunatic leftist sent a letter to his home threatening to assassinate him and his entire family.
1 month ago today, I witnessed my friend of 10 years, someone who I considered a brother, a loving husband, a devoted father, a generational leader, get assassinated on a live stream by a left-wing radical. Approximately 1 year ago, I witnessed the President of the United States get shot in the head by a left-wing radical, who also took the life of a Trump supporter in front of his daughters and wife. 2 months ago, Christian children kneeling and praying in a church were slaughtered by a left-wing extremist. And 2 weeks ago, federal law enforcement was shot at multiple sniper rounds in a federal facility by a left-wing extremist. If it's happening every single week, is it that extreme? Or has the Democrat Party mainstreamed violence as a political tool? The individual who wrote me described why he wanted me dead. I was a white, cis, Christian Trump supporter. They described in great detail how I would be killed in an open field just like Charlie, how much blood would come out of my head and neck when it was blown off. This individual described orphaning my 4 beautiful children and widowing my wife with great joy. You might want to say, another left-wing radical, another extremist. And to that, I would like to direct your attention to the state of Virginia, where Democrats have nominated and are about to vote for the chief law enforcement officer in that state, a man who has done the exact same thing. An individual who's calling for the assassination by bullets of Republicans that he disagrees with. The killing of their children. The slaughtering of, as he says, little fascists. Are my 4 innocent, beautiful children little fascists? Violence has been mainstreamed by the Democrat Party. It is not extremist, it is mainstream. And we need a moment of reckoning here.
So now, in addition to Charlie Kirk's murder, now in addition to the assassination attempt on President Donald Trump, now in addition to the children who were murdered outside or inside a Catholic church while they were praying by a transgender activist / murderer, now in addition to all of those things, ICE agents being attacked and doxxed and having their family members threatened willy-nilly, now you've got podcasters, right-wing podcasters as the media calls them, also getting threatened, and their families getting threatened by left-wing radicals. And of course, he's absolutely right. John Jay in the state of Virginia Jay Jones, John Jay's a totally different person. Jay Jones in the state of Virginia is set to be their next chief law enforcement agent and this is a guy who said, you know what? If his opponent's wife loses her child or holds her dead child, then and only then will they take action on gun control. It's really sick stuff. He said, if I had Pol Pot, Adolf Hitler, or my opponent and a gun with 2 bullets, my opponent would get 2 bullets every time. And that's the Democrat choice. It's not just the lunatics in the street. It's not just the lunatics walking around these college campuses. It's not just the idiots online. They're electing them to office now. Pam Bondi was there and said, look, we actually arrested this guy. So
the author of this letter made it very clear that he hated Benny because of his views, and he wanted Benny dead. This was a coward hiding behind a keyboard who thought he could get away with this. That's why we're standing up here today. You are not going to get away with threatening people in this way. And I'm proud to announce that we have arrested the author of this letter. George Isbell Jr. was taken into custody this morning, and we are charging him federally with mailing threatening communications. It is a crime, and if convicted, he is going to prison. This was incredible teamwork. Benny called me right away. Chief Burkhoff, thank you. You were on it right away. Matt Fodor and all the FBI agents. Thank you, U.S. Attorney Kehoe. All all of the U.S. Postal Service, FBI, state and local law enforcement working together. This is what it's about. And we are going to catch you if you think you can do something like this. We don't care if you're across the country in California. We will find you. We will arrest you. We will extradite you, and we will bring you to justice.
I thought she was going to say execute you, which I'd be about, but apparently she said extradite. She's actually, so this is happening. It's continuing to happen. And the Democrats not only don't care, they applaud and promote it. They don't care that that left-wing lunatics are out there after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which, by the way, his birthday's coming up. Remember the National Day of Mourning for Charlie Kirk? I imagine that's going to ruffle some feathers on the lunatic left side of the aisle. They've got a massive No King's Day protest coming up, which again is stupid, but that's also coming up. All of these things that they're about: violence against conservatives, murdering conservatives, attacking conservatives, threatening conservatives. It's all terror. It's domestic terror. Terrorism, the definition of terrorism is to do something that doesn't necessarily kill a whole bunch of people or hurt a whole bunch of people, but it makes people afraid to do normal everyday activities. When the shoe bomber, for example, was lighting his shoes on fire, yes, he wanted to blow up the plane. He wanted the 200 people on board to die. But it went far beyond those 200 people. He wanted everybody else to be petrified with fear of getting on a plane. Same with the 9/11 terrorists. Whenever there's a bomb threat, the bomb threat is, I don't want people to be comfortable going to school or work or to a movie theater or same thing with these shootings. They're terrorizing people. They're trying to disrupt your life. And that's exactly what these left-wing lunatics are doing. They shot one person, Charlie Kirk. And every single person at that arena, 3,000, were petrified. People all over the country were scared for their lives. People were canceling events because terror was setting in. And when you mail a letter to somebody like Benny Johnson and you threaten him and his family and say horrible things and describe the blood that's going to come out of his neck and his head when his head gets blown up, all this other stuff, what you're really doing is you're trying to terrorize everybody else, like me, like Brendan Dilley, like Cat Turd. You're trying to make everybody who does this for a living or for fun and for whatever, anybody who has a different opinion, you're trying to make them too scared. You're trying to terrorize them. You're trying to make them think, man, if I do this, then that could happen to me. I'm not going to do it anymore. And that's why it's domestic terrorism. And that's why it needs to stop. And that's why they're charging this guy on the federal level. And I hope they do. And I hope they lock him up and they throw away the key. And any party that, because what happened with this guy, Jay Jones in Virginia, when he sent those text messages and said, my opponent, if it were my opponent, Adolf Hitler and Pol Pot, and I had a gun with 2 bullets, my opponent gets 2 in the back of the head. That's terrorism. That's not a joke. That's not a threat. It is terrorism. If you say the word bomb at the airport, that's terrorism. They're going to take you into a little room. You're not getting on a plane for a while. It's the same exact thing. It's meant to make people stop doing and saying and promoting and fighting for what they believe. And the Democrats, instead of lambasting it or instead of deriding it or instead of saying, no, we totally abhor this kind of thing, they're supporting it and they're electing those people. Those are the people they want in office, in law enforcement positions. It's really crazy if you think about it until you realize these are Democrats and they're crazy. Hey, look at that. Cha-ching. That means we got another cha-ching chat. This one is from Julie Toomey. Oh, Julie Toomey, one of our mod squad. Thank you, Julie Toomey. We really appreciate that. Big favor. A fellow caterer needs our help. And then there's a really big, long give, send, go link. Let me see if I can click on that. I don't think I can. I can't. But go if you're on YouTube to, it looks like Matthew Shore. Go and click on that link and help out. Julie Toomey, thank you so much. We really do appreciate that. And we appreciate the support. And we appreciate you being an incredible mod as you are every single day Yeah, I can't access that link right now. Otherwise, I'd pull it. If you want to text it to me, I'll pull it up here in just a minute. We can all take a look at it. We got another one here from Jennifer Lawson. Jennifer Lawson dropping a $20 super chat. Great job, Mark. When and how can we live stream Dinesh D'Souza's The Dragon Prophecy? I loved 2000 Mules. May God bless. That's a great question. It's the Dragon, let me make sure I have this right, prophecyfilm.com. The Dragon Prophecyfilm.com. It looks like this. There you go. Let me pull it. Let me make that. Wait, hold on. That's the wrong window. Let me go here. It looks like this. There you go. The Dragon Prophecies. The Dragon's Prophecy, pardon me, the Dragon's Prophecy Film.com is where you go, and you can watch it now with live stream. You can buy the DVD, all kinds of things. You can schedule, I guess, a group showing or something. That may not be still a live link, but it's a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to be honest with you. So I would definitely recommend, if you're interested in that kind of thing, to take a look at it. The Dragon's Prophecy Film.com is where you go. And Jennifer Lawson, thank you so much for that amazing cha-ching chat. We got another one here on the Rumble for $20. Riggs4 sending us, wait a minute, I'm still seeing. Riggs4 sending us a Rumble rant and saying, appreciate what you do, Mark. Keep up the good work and be safe. Riggs4, I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. That is really, really nice of you, and we appreciate the support, and thank you so much for the cha-ching chat. If you would like to send a cha-ching chat, you can do it two ways. You can do it by sending a Rumble rant, or you can do it by sending one of those YouTube super chats. Listen, I appreciate all this stuff that you guys do for us, and I appreciate your support of the show. We also get a lot of support from Augusta Precious Metals. In fact, we're going to have one of their representatives on next week because they are so well versed and knowledgeable about what's going on with our economy. And if you have money and you want to protect it, there's no better investment than gold. Gold. I mean, everyone knows gold is a precious metal. Everybody knows that gold has been increasing in value, and it's been increasing in value faster than any other investment opportunity, 25% since President Donald Trump came back. Augusta Precious Metals, not only do they have fantastic IRA options and investment options for gold, but they also deal with high dollar accounts. So you know that their clientele know what they're talking about and are getting fantastic returns and results. Go to getmarksgold.com. Getmarksgold.com. That's the website. You can get your free gold IRA investment guide from Augusta Precious Metals. You can reach out to one of them and ask them more questions. If you have $100,000 or more in an IRA or a 401k or in your savings account or in a drawer, or a shoebox, or maybe you put it in one of those fake coffee cans in the freezer. I don't know where you keep your $100,000. That's not my business. But I would suggest giving it to Augusta Precious Metals, having them invest in a gold and precious metals IRA, and getting a much better return on a fantastic safe haven investment. Go to getmarksgold.com. And also, like I said, they support the show. They love the show. So if you love the show, you know that they do. They do as well. Melania Trump has been doing something that I don't know if it just hasn't been getting a lot of attention, or maybe people didn't know about it or whatever, but she came out with there was a big press conference today with Melania Trump. She came out, she did an announcement at the White House, and it was all based on a letter she sent a few months ago. You may remember, we mentioned it briefly. She sent a direct letter. The First Lady of the United States of America, she sent a direct letter to Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, asking him to release Ukrainian children that had been snatched in the war. There's tens of thousands of Ukrainian children that were stolen and kidnapped and taken, and they're taken into Russia. And apparently they're like brainwashed or whatever. She wants them back. And she said, look, war's war. We get your whole thing. We're working on a peace deal, but the children are innocent. What are you doing? And that letter wasn't just a symbolic effort by Melania Trump, but it apparently led to actual change in Ukraine and Russia. And she came out to talk about it. Listen to this. This is amazing.
Good morning. A child's soul knows no borders, no flags. We must foster a future for our children, which is rich with potential, security, and complete with free will. A world where dreams will be realized rather than faded by war. Much has unfolded since President Putin received my letter last August. He responded in writing, signaling a willingness to engage with me directly and outlining details regarding the Ukrainian children residing in Russia. And since then, President Putin and I have had an open channel of communication regarding the welfare of these children. For the past 3 months, both sides have participated in several back-channel meetings and calls, all in good faith. We have agreed to cooperate with each other for the benefit of all people involved in this war. My representative has been working directly with President Putin's team to ensure the safe reunification of children with their families between Russia and Ukraine. In fact, 8 children have been rejoined with their families during the past 24 hours.
Okay, so Melania Trump sends this letter to Vladimir Putin, and we talked about it, and everybody else talked about it. Nobody really knew what was going to happen with it. But now today she comes out and goes, by the way, that opened up an entire dialogue with Vladimir Putin. Melania Trump, Vladimir Putin having a dialogue through back channels. Back channel, that's like serious stuff. They're talking through these back channels and they're cutting deals, and they've started to release and reunite children from Russia back to Ukraine. And this is what we have not seen this kind of an activist first lady since I would say Nancy Reagan, maybe with her Say No to Drugs, campaign, but maybe even Eleanor Roosevelt. I don't even know how long it's been since we've had, we haven't had any first ladies, or very few, directly contact other foreign leaders to help with international causes. It's not just President Donald Trump who's using his power and his prestige and his charisma and his position to make positive change the world over. It's his wife.
Melania Trump's announcement. This is huge for a first lady to be speaking with Vladimir Putin, who, by the way, under the Biden administration could not do a deal with our president, and somehow has managed to do this backdoor deal with the First Lady of the United States.
You'd have to go back to Eleanor Roosevelt to find a First Lady who dealt with diplomacy and security issues like this. It's extraordinary. And I think there's a connection between what we just heard with Melania Trump and what's happened in Gaza. What this administration takes every conventional wisdom and breaks it over its knee. The conventional wisdom in the Middle East was you can't make peace unless you first make a Palestinian state. So Donald Trump comes along in 2020 and gets the Abraham Accords. The conventional wisdom in Gaza was first you have to have a ceasefire for a little while and you get some of the hostages back. He turns it around. No, we're going to get all the hostages back first, all at once. And then you're going to have a long ceasefire.
Yep.
And so this is the secret of the success of the administration in diplomacy, is that they just don't accept the conventional wisdoms, and they break them over their knees.
Yeah. And
they don't accept the conventional wisdoms, and they break them over their knees. They say, you guys have been telling us this forever. We're going to do it differently. We're going to do it a different way. And that change in thinking, that change in tactic is often usually all it takes for change to be made. And we're starting to see change being made in Ukraine, in Russia, in Gaza, in the Middle East. We're starting to see it all through. The relationships that we have with Qatar. Qatar used to be, people hated Qatar. Now we're like signing deals with Qatar every single day. Qatar is becoming one of our BFFs. In fact, Sek-War Hegseth was there just yesterday signing a deal for new airbase.
No one other than President Trump could have achieved the peace that we believe will be a lasting peace in Gaza. And Qatar played a substantial role from the beginning, working with our folks to ensure that came about. So I want to thank you for that historic piece. We look forward to joining the president as that gets, it's already been delivered, but as that's formally signed as well. And I'm also proud that today we're signing a letter of acceptance to build a Qatari Emiri Air Force facility at the Mountain Home Air Base in Idaho. The location will be host a contingent of Qatari F-15s and pilots to enhance our combined training, increase lethality, interoperability. It's just another example of our partnership. And I hope you know, Your Excellency, that you can count on us.
Come on. Qatar or Qatar, I'm still not sure what. Qatar, okay, is going to have F-15s, Qatari F-15s, Qatari pilots, Qatari staff coming to Idaho to train with American forces in a joint peacekeeping effort. So the fastest, most technologically advanced, most greatest trained, most lethal military in the entire world, the United States of America, will now be working alongside Qatar, which 10 years ago, people were afraid to go to Qatar if you were an American. I mean, this is, and he doesn't get the Nobel Peace Prize? How is this a world that we live in? It's really baffling to me. It's really crazy. And it's really kind of exciting to watch unfold. And I'm glad that I'm here. I'm glad that I'm here and I get a front row seat for it every single day because it's so much fun. Oh, look at that. We got cha-ching chats coming in left, right, and center. This is Michelle Wilbur dropping a $10 cha-ching chat. I don't know if I should be disappointed or delighted. I was in Memphis today delivering, and I didn't see one National Guard anywhere. Love your show. Well, listen, as long as you didn't get carjacked or murdered, I think you're probably on the. I think you should probably be okay. I know the National Guard's there. I know that they're there. I know that they're on the way. I think they're already there. Just because you didn't see them doesn't mean that they're not there. Memphis is a large place. And they're hopefully you weren't in the places, where they're most needed. You want to avoid those places at all costs. Trust me, I've never been to Memphis, but there's also a reason why I've never been to Memphis. Also, I got the link here that Julie Toomey shared with us. This is a give, send, go for Matthew's funeral and memorial expenses, remembering Matthew Shore. Today, I find myself flooded with memories of Matthew Shore, a beloved father, husband, brother, and son who left us too soon last Tuesday morning, brought a shock that shattered our hearts into pieces. The void left behind is one we're struggling to fill as we grapple with all of this. So if you knew Matthew, then this is definitely something. It's Julie's best friend of 30 plus years. Her husband passed away Tuesday, and they apparently need some help with the funeral expenses. So Julie, thank you so much. We'll make a donation for sure. We appreciate your cha-ching chat and we appreciate everything that you've done. And look, again, if you have anything at all you want to send in a cha-ching chat, as long as it's $5 or more, we will share it. All you have to do is go on YouTube and drop us a super chat, or go on Rumble and drop us a Rumble rant, and we'll get it out there. We do that every single Friday. Now, as the riffs have begun, I would be remiss if I did not end the show with one of my favorite people of all time, J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance has quickly, when J.D. Vance was a senator from Ohio, you may remember the East Palestine railroad debacle where Pete Buttigieg neglected to go to the area. Joe Biden neglected to go to the area. Nobody went to the area except for President Donald Trump and our presidential candidate, Donald Trump. And also J.D. Vance, who broadcast from there almost daily. And he would go in the water and he would wade around in the water and show you all of the, the rainbow circles when you threw the rock that you get when it's contaminated. And he bottled up the water from East Palestine and tried to get it to Joe Biden to see if he would drink it. All those kinds of things. That's when I really started going, JD Vance is kind of cool. He's got a vibe. Well, now that he's vice president and now that he's in part of all these meetings, like for example, the cabinet meetings and high level meetings with state and, negotiations for world peace, you really start to see more and more how capable and down to earth he is. And he said something yesterday about this Gaza peace agreement in the cabinet meeting that I just wanted to share with you.
I would say is obviously the President of the United States, a New York real estate billionaire, one of the most famous New Yorkers in the world, has a lot of interaction with a lot of people who are very pro-Israel. I think that was an important set of experiences and life experiences that he brought to the table. He also, of course, knew one of the most famous Palestinians in the world, Chuck Schumer. And I think without that background of knowledge, it would have been impossible to get us to this point.
He knew one of the most prominent Palestinians in the world, Chuck Schumer. And Donald Trump looks around and goes, it's true. It's true. Chuck Schumer is America's first Palestinian Senator, listen, thank you so much for being here this week, all this week, and we really appreciate it. And thank you so much for all of your cha-ching chats. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for watching our videos. If you have not yet subscribed, get on it, man, because we are going to be going, we are whole hog for the rest of our lives. This is what we do. We do it every day. We try to get you the information you need. We try to keep you inspired and enlightened. We want to make sure you know what's going on. We want to make sure who's coming at you and how you can thwart them. We want to make sure you know that if you go to Gaza Beach, your children's children will be forever cursed. I don't think that's true. I'm going to take that risk. I'll take that risk. And we want you to know that without you, we couldn't do this. Without you, we couldn't stand up to the evils. In fact, we all need to stick together every single day. We all need to stay educated every single day. We all need to stay inspired every single day so that we will all be ready on that one day when we're called upon to fight, fight, fight so we can save